Good morning. I'd like to call the Government Contract Review Committee to order. Clerk, please call roll.
Senator Douglas.
Present.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas.
Here.
Representative Bauman. Representative McCool. Representative Rorks. Senator Meredith.
Present.
Representative Hart.
Here.
Thank you. The minutes should reflect that a quorum is present and the committee is duly constituted to conduct business. Pursuant to KRS 45A 705, the Government Contract Review Committee members serve 2-year terms. Committee chairs are elected by committee members, also for 2-year terms. Those terms have now expired and new elections must be held pursuant to the aforementioned statute. Is there a nomination from a House member for the position of House Co-Chair?
Make a nomination for Representative Hart.
Is there a second from a House member?
Second.
Seconded by Representative Hart. Is there a motion from a representative member that nominations cease and that Representative Hart be elected by acclamation? Motion by Representative McCool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Hart. Motion having been made and seconded that nominations cease and that Representative Hart be elected House Co-Chair by acclamation without objection, so ordered. Is there a nomination from a Senate member for the position of Senate Co-Chair?
So moved. I'd like to nominate Senator Douglas.
Senator Meredith nominated Senator Douglas, seconded by Senator Thomas. Is there a motion from a Senate member that nominations cease and that Senator Douglas be elected by acclamation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motions have been seconded by Senator Douglas. Motions have been made and seconded that nominations cease and that Senator Douglas be elected Senate Co-Chair by acclamation without objection, so ordered.
All right, good morning, everybody. We have a quorum. Clerk's already called the roll. So the first item on the agenda is the consideration of the minutes of the December 10th meeting of the committee. Is there a motion that they be considered as being approved?
So moved.
Motion by Co-Chair Douglas, second.
Second.
Second by Senator Meredith. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Richardson.
Aye.
Senator Thomas. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rorks. Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes. Motion carries. Total number of items on the agenda today equal 406 in the amount of $36,233,360,106.30. All vendors are registered with the Secretary of State's office. Next is the deferred list from the December 2024 agenda. The first item is with the Council on Post-Secondary Education and is number one on the December routine MOA pink list. If all those people there are here from that organization would like to come forward. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, you may continue. Go.
Sorry, your microphone's not on.
Sorry. The contract that was deferred has since been canceled. It should actually not have been through this body, as the granting authority is issuing the contract, not CPE.
Okay. Thank you for that. We needed to get that on the record. And also, could you please identify yourself for
Oh,
the
it's
record?
Leslie Brown
Okay, and with...
with the Council on Post-Secondary Education.
All right. Well, with the contract being withdrawn, thank you for coming and putting it on the record for us.
Thank you.
The last item on the deferred list is with the Department for Local Government and is number 13 on the December routine MOA pink list. If the representatives are here, please come forward, identify yourself for the record.
Matt Sawyers, Commissioner, Department for Local Government.
Travis Weber, Branch Manager, Department for Local Government.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you so much. Senator Boswell originally had pulled this contract, and he is no longer on the committee. So at this time, I'll open it up. Does anybody on the committee have any questions, comments?
I do. I'll speak on behalf of Senator Boswell. His concern was you look at the per unit price of these housing units, and it just seemed extraordinarily high. That when you compare it just to residential construction, small homes, it just seemed exceedingly high. So can you speak to that?
Sure. Thanks, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. This is a great project. Travis here can speak about the details of the budget. But this is for residents of Eastern Kentucky impacted by the 2021-2022 floods. It's to benefit the national objective to benefit low to moderate income individuals. Multifamily housing, as everyone here knows, is a critical issue for all of Kentucky, especially in Eastern Kentucky, where we had so many housing units lost and so many people displaced. And this is a vacant building in the middle of downtown Jackson, 2 stories, I believe, and to impact to build 18 units in partnership with a nonprofit developer is a really fantastic achievement for the city of Jackson, the mayor of Jackson, and all the folks there that's going to benefit from this project. So Travis, you want to answer the question about the budget itself?
Yes. So the project does include, that's factored into the cost of those units, is the acquisition, the price of acquiring the building that's already standing, as well as the upgrade to the infrastructure to help support the building being converted to residential multifamily, which does require some water sewer improvements outside the building as well to bring that up.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Go ahead.
I understand that, but again, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me personally that if the cost of acquisition of the current building and property is so high, could we have found property otherwise that would not have needed renovation, new construction, that would have been considerably cheaper than this?
Well, I could speak to, the city of Jackson, Breathitt County, if you've been there, only has so many parcels that are developable to build this kind of facility, just by the nature of Eastern Kentucky and the city, the county, all the folks at the state have spent an inordinate amount of time looking for developable property there. We've made a lot of inroads with existing property. Disaster recovery dollars have gone to purchase other plots of land to develop single-family housing, develop multiple family housing. But this kind of development is a lot different. And, to be able to put 18 units up there with 1 bedroom, with 2 bedroom, to use an existing facility to remodel a vacant structure that's already there, it does have a price tag to do any of those types of things. So, I suppose to answer your question, this is an opportunity that was presented to us and applied for by the mayor of Jackson, and it was a fantastic project to get involved with. So, Travis, you want to add anything to that?
No, sir. I think that's pretty much the challenges that we've had in trying to find developable land there, and then also the that we had a nonprofit developer with experience in East Kentucky that brought us this project and needed these upgrades. Was an opportunity that we felt was right.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, where is this building located?
It's along Kentucky 15 in Jackson. If you're heading, if you're coming off I guess what would be the new cut through that comes through there, and you can take a left kind of that heads towards downtown, or you take a right, and it's just down there on the right-hand side. I believe there's a McDonald's down there kind of next to it.
But there was an earnest attempt to try to find other property
Oh, absolutely.
for this purpose, and you're saying
Yeah.
nothing was available.
not that was brought to us. I mean, again, this was a developer that brought this project to us. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Senator Douglas, or Co-Chair Douglas.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair Hart. I express the same concern. First of all, I want to make sure that everyone understands. No one's questioning the need for such housing, and no one is questioning the need of the people for such housing, and no one is questioning the motivation to do these types of things. Because we ask questions doesn't mean that we're not empathetic to what's going on in that particular space. But it does seem that the cost is disproportionately high when we're renovating a building versus building new. Is that what we generally see in that region when someone renovates a building, that it costs so much more than it likely would cost to build new?
Thank you, Senator. I think to answer that question, what I could say is that these projects are thoroughly vetted by not just state staff, by Travis and his team.
Pardon me, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm not questioning whether it was vetted or any. I'm asking a yes or a no question, essentially.
What was the yes or no question?
The yes or no question was, is it standard or traditional for renovation of a building to have someone live in to cost so much more than building new?
I mean, we have engineering, we have design, we have construction, we have infrastructure construction, we have numerous federal and state guidelines that we have to abide by for cost effectiveness. So I think that you would find that the answer to that question would be yes, sir.
So then I would need to understand that instead of building new homes, perhaps we should start looking for places that instead of I'm trying to get this because it's money that's being spent, and it just seems counterintuitive. But again, I'm not questioning the sincerity. I'm just trying to understand it myself.
We are doing both, sir, and we'd be happy to talk with you about the specific budget details at some point if you like, and maybe bring
I would love for you to come by my office and have that conversation.
Sure,
with me.
absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Any other comments? If not, do I have a motion to consider the contract reviewed without objection? All right. Do I have a motion to the contrary? All right, gentlemen, with no motion or second, the contract does move forward. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us.
Thank you.
Next order of business is consideration of the agenda, including the deferred list, personal service contract list, PSC amendment list, memorandum of agreement list, memorandum of agreement amendment list, Kentucky Entertainment Incentive Program agreement list, and the corrections list, except for those items selected for further review. Do we have a motion to consider the contracts?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Senator Meredith, second by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourks,
Aye.
Senator Meredith, Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. First items on the poll list are with the Department of Highways and are numbers 5 through 10 on the routine PSC green list and numbers 24 and 25 on the PSC amendment ivory list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. I'm Eric Pelfrey, our Director of Professional Services at the Transportation Cabinet. For the first group of 6 contracts, I'm joined also virtually by Tim Layson, who's our Director of Highway Design. Tim, do
Okay.
you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Do we have him?
You should be online.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can't seem to get the video. Yes, my name's Tim Layson. I'm Director of Highway Design here at Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
I do.
Thank you all so much for being here, and I believe Co-Chair Douglas has some questions.
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. My question is this. We're looking at, my questions are number 5 through 11. And essentially the amount that's being asked for is $2 million. Could you, for each contract, $2 million for each contract? And that's 7 contracts that I'm looking at, so a significant amount of money. Could you give me an idea of how much of those contracts, the monies of those contracts, are traditionally used?
Gladly, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you again today.
If you would, please speak, either pull that closer to you or speak up a little louder.
Yeah,
I'm getting old, so I need.
No,
need to be
no
able to
problem. Gladly, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. So these are two-year contracts for each of them. There's, like you said, there's 7 contracts. The past 2 years, we went through the same exact cycle. We had 7 contracts. The 7 contracts that we used the past 2 years, we actually had an upset limit of $3 million per. We didn't quite use all the upset limit, so we try to be proactive and budget accordingly. So we scaled back. As you all know, we don't have quite as much money in our highway plan this biennium, so we scaled back a little bit. I think we can check a utilization report, but I believe we got to close to $2 million for each of those contracts in the past cycle. We don't think we're going to approach that this year, so that's why we scaled back a little bit.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was my question.
Gladly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion to consider the contract review without objection?
So moved.
Motion made by Co-Chair Douglas, second by Senator Thomas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Senator Meredith. Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. The next 2 contracts are numbers 24 and 25 on the PSC amendment Ivory list. And Senator or Co-Chair Douglas, I believe you have some questions on them as well.
Back again.
You're up. You're
Yep,
up.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Like it.
Contract number 4. Excuse me, 24. $350,000. $150 an hour. Is there a reason why?
Yes, that's actually a pretty good loaded wage rate for what we typically see. It's a little bit higher than our state personnel, as you're aware, but consultants unfortunately have to obviously pay for also their overhead, which their overhead is higher than ours is at the cabinet. They also have a profit built in. So I'd say on average, consultant loaded wage rates right now are about $150 all the way up to possibly even $200 or more per hour, depending on the level of expertise. So this contract, this is our Bridging Kentucky contract. I'm joined on this contract by the project manager, Royce Meredith, who's also online. But $150 an hour is a pretty good rate for these types of services, for the expertise that they're delivering.
I'll withhold anything else. Are we going to move to number 43, or we just this one particular contract? Okay, I didn't do 25. Okay, I don't have any other questions about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had 25. I didn't do 25.
Do you have a motion to consider the contract review without objection? Motion by Senator Thomas, second.
I'll second. Did someone
By
say?
Senator Douglas. Oh, this is just for 24.
That's just what 24.
Yes, and that's what it's for. Yeah. So, motion made by Senator Thomas to approve contract number 24, seconded by Senator Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke,
Aye.
Senator Meredith, Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Now to contract number 25. Do you have any further questions on that?
I have no further questions.
Okay.
Mr. Co-Chair.
Therefore, do I have a motion to consider contract number 25 reviewed without objection?
So moved.
Motion by Senator
Second.
Meredith, second by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke,
Aye.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. Next time on the pull list is with the Kentucky Communications Network Authority and is number 23 on the routine PSC green list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning, I'm Doug Hendricks. I'm the Executive Director of Kentucky.
Could you make sure your light is on?
It is. I'll get closer. I'm the Executive Director of the Kentucky Communications Network Authority.
All right. Thank you so much.
Adam Adkins, General Counsel for Kentucky Communications Network Authority.
Jason Johnson, Controller for Kentucky Communications Network Authority.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Would you all please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you so much. And I've got a couple questions. First one, based on the information you have provided, it's pretty evident there's a market for the dark fiber. The problem, it seems to me the problem is with open fiber, Kentucky's refusal to lease the dark fiber. So is that a fair assessment, or can you maybe enlighten us on what's actually going on there?
No, that is a pretty fair assessment of it. We know that they've entered into one dark fiber lease. We don't know that they've entered into any others dark fiber leases. They haven't presented them to us as changes for us to approve. We have been contacted by several companies who are interested in dark fiber, and some of those said they have spoken with our contractor and that they were unable to obtain that, into that market and obtain that lease.
All right, thanks. Thank you for that. One other question, and this might be more of education for me, but what's the need to study to do the study on this? I know there's probably a need for dark fiber, but could you just maybe educate me a little bit on the need for the study?
The primary reason we decided to do it is that we are hearing from our contractor that there is no dark fiber market. That's what they've told us. But then we're being contacted by ISPs who say they're interested in it. So having those differing opinions, we decided that the best thing to do would be to get a consultant who would help us really determine how broad and strong that market is. And if one doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. But it's not expertise that we have on our staff. So it was best to reach out to CTC, who's already aware of the project. We won't have to pay them to become educated about the project, and they'll be able to do that pretty quickly.
All right, thank you so much. Do I have any other questions? Co-Chair Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Would you, for the benefit of those outside of this room, and perhaps some of those who are inside this room, please explain what dark fiber, what you're referring to, because it's scaring the dickens out of some people.
Well, actually, I brought my Chief Operating Officer, Greg Gatson. So if you want a technical explanation, I can bring him up to do that.
I want an explanation that people are going to understand.
People that are, okay, so you need access to the internet. Some people will want lit fiber services, which is provided for them by another entity. Some people will just want that connection. So that's what that dark fiber is. And in 2014 and 15, when this project was started, that was the primary foundation for expanding broadband in the Commonwealth. And that's the whole goal here. That's the public purpose behind this project. How do we expand broadband to rural areas? And even, urban areas, like some parts of Jefferson County don't have great internet, right? So the best way to do that at that time was to have this dark fiber that a local provider could then connect. They would get to the internet. They'd be able to get cheaper, faster services that they could then expand it out. That's why we decided. That's why it's that way.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair.
Senator Thomas.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I was just going to say, compared to some studies that I've seen with costs associated therewith, I mean, this one of $85,000 seems relatively cost effective by comparison. So, I mean, the cost of this study doesn't concern me that much.
Senator Richardson.
A couple questions. Thank you for being here today. Has there been any coordination with the Kentucky Office of Broadband Development? I mean, wouldn't they already have some of this information?
We don't work directly with them. We have provided some technical expertise for them in some of their duties. But part of the reason we did want to do this is as an additional impact and effect of this contract is when we discover this market, we can give that to them. And they do have something coming up in January 15th. I believe their period starts for, I have to remind myself what it is. Their application process begins the 15th. So this is information that might be helpful to them. But I don't know that they wouldn't know how big and how broad and how strong the dark fiber market is. They might know anecdotally that people want dark fiber, though.
If an area is served and an area is unserved, isn't that evidence that there is or is not a need in that area for dark fiber? Is that too basic?
It's not too basic. I think it's a good question. The fact that they are unserved, if you're talking within the statutory terms, the Office of Broadband Development, that means they have internet, but it's just very slow. Mm-hmm. But if we give them a better access, faster internet, then it will improve. So they have it now. It's just this will make it quicker. And this will also expand into those areas that are unserved and that don't have access. That's the plan anyway. That's the vision.
I think back in December, there was testimony about the ISPs not utilizing this or having access to this. Explain that to me. I'm a little bit confused because I've got two in my district that are using fiber. So explain that to me. Why there isn't?
Are they using our fiber, or just the ISPs in your district?
Why does it have to be your fiber?
Well, I was just trying to clarify your question.
First day here.
I just wanted to make sure I understood what your question was. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not entirely sure. What I'm trying to get at is I don't understand the scope. Mm-hmm. There are ISPs that are using in rural areas. My district alone has 2. I don't know whose fiber it is. I think our average everyday member in the Commonwealth has no clue where their fiber comes from. It's just the internet works or it doesn't work. Right. I guess I go back to that original question. If the area is served, it has fiber, and I think our Kentucky Department of or Kentucky Office of Broadband Development probably has that answer. I'm concerned that there might not be that coordination there because I'll go back to my first question. Can you not access this information? Broadband's not new. So can you not access this information already?
So like your local ISP probably has a contract with some carrier who's providing them that service. It might be at 25 megabytes per second, whereas we can offer 100 megabytes per second. So if they work with our contractor, Open Fiber, and get dark fiber from us, now they get faster speed. So yeah, they have access and they are going to the internet, but by working with our vendor and getting on our network, they get it much faster and they should get it cheaper. So that's how it would work.
There's some competitiveness to it, I guess. Is that right? So to that point, you have to explain it to me again. Mm-hmm. So why can't this be out for bid?
There's 2 reasons. The first reason is we need this to do our due diligence and carry out our statutory authority to oversee these contracts. So we have our vendor saying there is no dark fiber market. We have ISPs across the state that have come to us and said, we want dark fiber and we can't get it from your vendor. So I need to know which one's correct. Is our vendor correct in saying there is no market, or are these people that are coming to us that say they need it correct? That's why I needed this contract, and I need it quickly. Mm-hmm. The procurement process can take some time. It could take 6 months. And we need the answer sooner rather than later to be able to manage our contracts the way we're statutorily charged to do so. The other reason is we think it will help the Office of Broadband Development to have this information as they go through their application process. We think we should get this report pretty quickly. We're going to meet with them every couple of weeks. They'll lay out what their process is. They're already familiar with our project and the network, so they won't have to do that front work, and they'll just be able to go straight diving into the information they need to get to produce a report.
No further questions.
Thank you so much. Senator Meredith.
You make reference to a vendor who says there's no market. Who is that vendor?
Open Fiber, Kentucky. They do business as a Celicom.
Okay. I guess just an editorial note. It's just not practical to or feasible to bid this. Kind of makes a sole source contract, and historically, I don't like sole source contracts. You know, you say in your letter that if it must go out to bid, it would cost the state more time and money for the vendor to gain historical knowledge needed to complete this project. And from the discussion we've had this morning, I don't know that the historical knowledge is all that important, because you have a service you're trying to sell, and we're trying to determine what that market is. Isn't that the essence of the situation?
Well, we know what we were told in 2014 and 2015, and we know what the need was in 2014 and 2015, that Kentucky was 47th in broadband. So as the time has passed, when our contractor tells us there is no market, when they told us it's the same entity, it's Macquarie, that's who owns Open Fiber, that's who is the vendor. They told, now all of a sudden there's no market. Well, we need to make sure. I mean, it's our job to make sure they're meeting their contractual obligations. And that includes meeting the public purpose of this project. If they're not, then we need to address that. And if they are, then we're fine.
Well, if they're not, is there a possibility we might bring litigation against them?
It's possible. I mean, you know, we would have to look at all the options that are available to us.
Okay. Well, again, I just don't know that the historical knowledge of this process has that much value to us at this point in time. I don't know whether $85,000 is a reasonable number or not. I just don't know, and that's where I struggle. That's why I always like to see if we take a little time to do this. I understand you're in time constraint, but we don't get to print money here like the federal government does, so that's my concern. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other? If there's no other questions, do I have a motion to consider the contract review without objection? A motion by Senator Thomas. Second by Representative Rourke. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
I'm going to pass on this one, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Senator Richardson.
No.
Senator Thomas. Aye. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke. Aye. Senator Meredith.
I'd like to explain my vote, Mr. Chair.
Go right ahead.
I'm a no on this one because, again, it concerns me whether we don't put these things out for bid unless it's an extreme situation, and I haven't been convinced this is that extreme at this point in time. So I don't know if we're getting value for our dollars or not, so I vote no.
Chairman Hart.
I vote yes. Do we good? All right, we have four yay, one pass, one and two no. Therefore, do I have a motion for disapproval? Without any motion for disapproval, the contract moves forward, and thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item's on the pool list is with Kentucky Employers Mutual Insurance, and is number 24 on the routine PSC green list. If representatives are here, please identify yourself for the record.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Tim Feld. I'm General Counsel for Kentucky Employers Mutual Insurance.
All right, thank you so much. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And I believe Co-Chair Douglas has some questions.
Pardon me, Mr. Coach. Pardon me, Mr. Co-Chair, just a second.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think my question is going to be the same as I had an earlier question. $150 an hour? Could you explain that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Halbert, the attorney in question, represents KIMI in federal black lung litigation. It's it is our largest area of exposure. It's a highly technical area. We believe 150 is a fair and market rate for his legal services. For example, Mr. Douglas, he represents KIMI in about 150 matters. Those matters, if we lose, we will lose anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 for our policyholders. So we want to make sure that we have the correct counsel with the correct expertise, and we believe the 150 is the market rate and a fair rate for that legal work.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Go right ahead.
Was this bid?
Yes, sir. Back in 2022, we did an RFP. His firm was selected. Mr. Halbert has started his own firm and is bringing KIMI's work with him.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Senator Thomas.
Just to follow up Senator Douglas's question, is Mr. Howard doing a good job? Is that why you want to keep him?
Yes. We have 4 law firms that do federal black lung. We believe we have the 4 best defense firms for that type of work.
If there's no further questions, do I have a motion to consider the contract review without objection?
So moved.
A motion by Senator Merritt. Do I have a second? Second by Senator Richardson. Is there all those in favor vote aye, all those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bowman. Representative McCool.
No.
Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Next item on the pool list is with Northern Kentucky University and is number 39 on the routine PSC green list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record. And I believe they're virtual, are they not?
Yes.
Are you here? Okay.
Good morning. Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you for having us. I assume everyone can hear us. I'm Jenny Sand, the Executive Director of Government and Community Relations at Northern Kentucky University. And I'm joined by Dean Gannon Tager of our College of Health and Human Services.
Thank you all so much for being here. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I think Representative McCool has some questions.
Thanks for being here. Just want to make sure that I understand this position that you're seeking out for is for a director of nursing, and the cost for this position just to advertise and recruit and fill is $75,000, which typically, my understanding is what you do for like a president, anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 for a president, or even up to $200,000, depending on how large the university is. Just explain to me why this position is not handled internally with your HR, and why do you have to get a search firm out there costing $75,000?
Yes, sir. So this position at NKU, we have in the College of Health and Human Services, we have a School of Nursing, and our School of Nursing has, as of today, enrolled 2,756 students. So it's an extremely large school. So the director functions almost like a mini dean within the college. The position has been open. Our previous School of Nursing director left at the end of June. So the position has been posted since July 1st. We have not had any qualified applicants to this point in time. I have used my operating funds to advertise nationally in 2 different venues. One is the magazine Inside Higher Ed. It's both online and in print. And I have also used funds to advertise online in the American Association of Colleges of Nursing and their career board, and have had no movement on that. This is a position that requires extensive knowledge of graduate and undergraduate education in nursing. We have a nursing anesthesia program as well. All of our master's and doctoral programs are online, so it requires extensive knowledge of online education, as well as accreditation with our national accrediting bodies and the Kentucky Board of Nursing. So it is a large position with a lot of responsibilities, and we have just been unable to find anybody. Part of the reason for that is nursing faculty shortage across the country. So there are headhunters reaching out every day to multiple people that are qualified, people are retiring. So the pool for people who have the expertise to do this position is not very large in general.
Go right ahead.
Continue. Well, thank you, and certainly not questioning the need or the great job, and certainly that is a very valuable position. I'm just confused of how this search firm do anything beyond what you've already done. Maybe you need to, I don't know what it is. You need to make it more attractive to whatever it is. I don't know how a search firm can go beyond what you've already done. You've done national searches, and you have.
They reach out individually to people. So I can attest to that just from myself getting multiple emails a week from different search firms for positions across the country. So they reach out individually with a job description, and they reach out multiple times. So that is the bandwidth that we don't have internally at NKU.
All right. Any other questions? If not, do I have an motion to consider the contract review without objection? I'll make that motion. Second by Senator Richardson. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
I but explain my vote.
Go right ahead.
The purpose of an internal search committee or search committees at the universities, I always thought, was to be a search committee. I thought that was sort of their job or their due diligence, and I too am having some issues with having to hire outside search committees to do something that someone else is already being paid to do. And I guess my concern is if they're not doing their job, perhaps we shouldn't be putting money in that particular space. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas.
I want to vote aye. And I want to explain my vote. And I want to go in a different direction. I think if there's anything good that came from the COVID virus, it was that we understand as a nation now how important our healthcare delivery system is. And although we still treat doctors, and probably should, as the top of the food chain when it comes to healthcare delivery, nursing has become a highly critical, important role in our healthcare services. And as a legislature, we have adopted a policy during my tenure here over the last decade of giving RNs and nurse practitioners more and more authority in the role of providing good health care to people. And the young woman stated that she had tried to do this internally and was not successful. I believe her. I have no reason to disbelieve her. And having a good leader in the field of nursing in our universities is just so important. And so for all of those reasons I've just expressed, I'm going to vote aye in terms of creating this $75,000 fund so Northern Kentucky can get a good dean of nursing there at the university and help move this state forward.
Representative Ballman, Representative McCool, Representative Rorks.
Aye.
Senator Meredith.
I'll explain my vote, Mr. Chair.
Go right ahead.
I vote aye. If anyone served on this committee any time at all, you know we approve a lot of these contracts for our universities. I would conservatively guess it's hitting the low millions of dollars. And I understand the need for that, in particular in this situation. I would just be more encouraged if I knew that our universities, colleges and universities, had a plan for succession for all their positions, because I really like to see people developed internally to assume these leadership positions when there's a turnover. And just what I see anecdotally, we recruit a lot of people from outside our universities rather than inside, and I'm not sure that's the best model for us. I think when you've got people who want to step up who are already in the institution, you have that historical knowledge already in place, and also I think they have more commitment to the facility than they do. But I understand the need for this, so I do approve it.
Chairman Hart.
Yes. Thank you all so much. Motion carries. Thank you all so much for being with us. The next item on the pool list with the University of Kentucky and is number 43 on the routine PSC green list. If the representatives are here, please identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. My name is Barry Swanson. I'm the Chief Procurement Officer for the university.
Melissa Frederick. I am the Vice President for Human Resources for University of Kentucky.
All right, thank you guys. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you all so much, and I believe Co-Chair Douglas has some questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'll make this quick, as I always do. This is a 6-month contract for $300,000 for consulting, and the strategy assessment, capability analysis, financial analysis, and then it moves on and moves on and moves on. Can you tell me how many people will be utilized in the consulting space for this?
So
for 6 months?
yeah. So is this for the employee portion, right?
What's that?
The employee portion? I thought it was the whole.
It's both.
Oh, okay. So thank you. Just needed to get some clarity. I'm newer in my role. This is actually a consulting firm that we use at University of Kentucky to provide advisory services because we use 2 different retirement vendors, TIA and Fidelity. And so they actually help our retirement committee provide their fiduciary responsibility. So all employees do benefit from this oversight, as well as all employees are able to use individualized counseling through CapTrust to help choose the right vendor, Fidelity or TIA.
Well, Senator Douglas is pondering that. Can I ask who's the second vendor besides Fidelity?
TIA CREF.
Yeah.
I don't think they use CREF anymore, but Teachers Insurance and Annuity. Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my pondering was I was trying to come up with a sensical question that made sense, because I guess I'll fall back on my original question of $300,000 for 6 months for consulting. And what is the return on investment of that particular $300,000 over 6 months? Is there any estimation, or could you help me with that?
So with this 6 months, I'll need to find out more, because this contract has actually been in place several years. And so we've had a lot of good outcomes by using CapTrust. And I took a few notes here. I hope you'll indulge me. What we've been able to do is actually work on our retirement plans to create a lower administrative fees for our employees when they're using these retirement vendors. We've actually scaled back the number of plans from over 200 to about less than 30 for each vendor, but they are more high performing for our employees to choose. So we have lots of outcomes by using them, and actually the 6 months confuses me a bit because we've had them in place for about 8 years.
Senator Douglas, I believe that may well be a typo. I think it may. I'm going to go back to the office and check. The reason I was checking my phone because I know my staff is watching this. I thought they might text me the answer. I think it's actually the end of the biennium in 26.
Okay, that would make more sense.
I will confirm that for you.
Okay, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just we do this, and we really do want the people of the Commonwealth to know that we actually do read these contracts, and we are looking out for everyone, even including the people who are utilizing the contracts. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any other questions? Senator Meredith.
I didn't have any questions originally, but you've kind of piqued my interest now that you've done this for 8 years. So this firm comes in and does what? You got 2 vendors that you're working with. What do they do?
Right.
Are they looking at the individual funds that each vendor is providing?
So we actually have a retirement committee that looks at that. So they do a lot of consulting and help guide us in terms of what we need to look at. And so they're assessing the plans, they're reporting out on the performance. So University of Kentucky and its retirement committee, which has fiduciary responsibilities, is assessing those plans to make sure that the plans that we offer our employees are performing so that they can meet their retirement objectives. The advantage to Cap Trust is they are very familiar with the industry. They know how other plans are structured. They're also keeping up on different designs, different trends, and helping advise us as to any changes that come in the retirement landscape.
So what kind of recommendations would they bring to the committee?
So I think one of the first recommendations that they came out of the gate with is to scale back the number of plans to make it more clear and easy for our employees to choose plans. And then in turn, it also reduced the administrative fees that every employee pays when they are participating in those investment accounts.
So the employees pick the funds themselves based on this?
The employees have the option to pick the funds. They can work with the vendors, which are TIAA and Fidelity, or they can also work with Cap Trust. So it's a support to the employees as well as to the design of the plans.
Could you guesstimate how many employees, what percentage of employees use CAP?
I don't have that, but I could get it for you as a follow-up. That would be acceptable.
I appreciate their value as a kind of a third party to take a look at this, but both these groups are very well known, and I mean it's you can go on the internet and find out pretty much what plan performances are and what administrative fees are, and I guess I just struggle to see what value there is to this, but again, it is what it is. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right, any others? If not, do I have a motion to consider the contracts reviewed without objection? Motion by Senator Thomas. Do I have a second? Second by Representative Rourke. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
Aye, but explain my vote, or at least
Go right ahead.
I am looking forward to the clarification. I think that would be really important for me. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Senator Richardson.
Aye.
Senator Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to explain my aye vote if I may.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. Senator Douglas is right. We do review these contracts. We give a lot of thought about how they are to be expended and the cost to the state in doing so. The reason I support this contract, and I want the public to know this, UK Today is a top 50 healthcare institution. Top 50. We're very proud of that as Kentuckians to have one of the highest healthcare institutions in this country, rivaling such institutions as the Cleveland Clinic, for example. When you have a institution of that high quality, you want to be able to offer the people who come work for there, top level benefits, high level pay, research opportunities, and to provide them, opportunities when they come there to be able to get good benefits like TIAA or Fidelity and be able to choose the funds they want to use to maximize their retirement potential. I think that's what you do if you want to get the best. So all of that makes sense to me. As you've heard me say before, I am not really that troubled with universities and their consulting because we want to have the best universities here in Kentucky possible. And UK is now among the best in the United States. So for that reason, I strongly support this contract, and I vote aye.
Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rorks.
Aye.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Next item on the pool list is with the Council on Post-Secondary Education and is number 4 on the PSC Amendment Ivory list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
What is this?
I'm Lee Nimmux. I'm Vice President at CPE.
I'm Leslie Brown. I am Executive Director of Administrative Services at CPE.
All right. Thank you all so much. Could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you so much, and I believe Senator Meredith has some questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, just one. We're engaging this firm to do a feasibility study, which was authorized by our General Assembly back in '24. Question I have is increase of almost 33% from the original contract. Why?
So this is just an effort of us trying to get ahead of the game. Every time we think that these studies are closed, we end up with additional questions. In addition to SJR 179, SJR 132, we had, well, SJR 132 and SJR 170, I apologize. We had an additional study that we were requested to complete, SJR 98, in the last session. And the recommendations from those studies, including SJ 98, will be going before the General Assembly this session, where they may make recommendations. What we have found with these contracts is when the General Assembly comes back with questions, we sometimes have not left enough money on the contracts to address going back to the vendors to ask them to reassess certain items. This is a not to exceed contract. We do not anticipate utilizing the entirety of the contract, but just in case with the General Assembly coming back into session, we were just trying to be mindful of everyone's time and try to head things off at the pass. In addition to that, I just want to assure you that we do not spend money that is not necessary to spend. The General Assembly was kind the last session and gave us $2 million to help tie all of these studies together. Of that $2 million, we have spent about $1.3 million of that to date, and I do not think we will spend the entirety of the $2 million by the end of this fiscal year.
So there has not been a formal request for additional funds from Ernst & Young?
No.
Yeah.
We're just trying to get ahead of the game. There are clauses in their contract that does require them to address certain questions should they arise.
Yeah.
And this was us just trying to get ahead of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but if I'm Ernst & Young, I'm suddenly going to say we got $135,000 that we can.
Yes, as part of that contract, they cannot bill us on that unless we send them a formal statement of work with specific parameters, with the exact questions as they were asked to us.
Okay.
I would love for these contracts to close. When they do close, I will probably have a celebration. These joint resolutions have been a little bit unpredictable in the questions that come back to us. Honestly, when SJR 132 and 170 were passed, I would not think that I would still be looking at them today, but we are. From a procurement standpoint.
Well, when you celebrate, give me a call. I'll celebrate with you. I'd like to see your thing. But again, just so I understand this, is we've in essence changed the scope of the feasibility study because of additional legislation that was passed?
We did not do a good job of explaining exactly what this contract is doing. So in addition to adding these funds to try to get ahead of the game with any questions, we went back through the original scope and made substantial changes for the report related to, I have to look at my notes because I get these confused, I apologize, related to SJR 98 to have them change specific language in that, because in addition to Ernst & Young, we also had another vendor. And through SJ 98, those two vendors had to start working together to come up with a cohesive report on some aspects and some questions that we were asked. And so we did go back through Ernst & Young's contract just to clarify points. So there was no question when they went to do the work and no question of overbilling when the work was done.
When you say that didn't do a very good job on the front end.
No, I'm saying this explanation that we gave you
Okay.
is not good.
Which, it's all we've got to work with.
I know it
you
is, and I
understand?
apologize for
Yeah,
that.
all right. Well, again, my sensitivity is, again, we see a lot of these contracts where we'll say we want additional information. I think we lose our leveraging opportunity when that happens. And I like to see these proposals be as concise as possible. And I'm confident based on your explanation that this is a warranted increase, but hope you appreciate my sensitivity
I do.
to this.
I understand completely.
All right, thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions, comments? If not, do I have a motion to consider the contract review without objection?
So moved.
Motion made by Senator Meredith. Do I have a second? Second by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all so much for
Thank
being
you all.
here today. Next items on the pool list are with the Department for Community-Based Services, and our numbers 5 and 6 on the PSC Amendment Ivory list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning, Jennifer Thornhill. I'm the Assistant Director for the Division for Prevention and Community Wellbeing.
I'm Charity Roberts. I'm the branch manager for the Division for Prevention and Community Wellbeing.
All right, thank you so much. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And Senator Douglas and Meredith have questions on number 5. Y'all want to take these one at a time, or?
We've already arm wrestled for this.
Have you?
Obviously, I won.
So you won?
Yeah, again.
Felt bad for him.
Yeah. He does that a lot. My question is very simple. We're looking at 5 and 6, and under 6 it says increase by $243,000, and it explains it's to mitigate the waiting list in the region, but there's no explanation given for contract 5 as why it's increasing $623,000. So what's it doing?
Sure. So this is the last 2 contracts. So we were here last month for 6 of 8 of these where we're adding funds for the same purpose. So these are the last 2 of that series of contracts. And to answer the question, this is adding Family First Transition Act funds. So that came out of the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2019. And those funds are 100% federal, and adding those to support serving families, so increasing salaries to mitigate retention and recruitment issues so that we can mitigate wait list and serve families, and also increasing pre-engagement to increase service uptake, and then also to add aftercare services for prolonged outcomes. And if I may, to that point, Senator Douglas, you had a question when we were here last month regarding that and recidivism rates. So we did pull some data regarding that since last month. And in terms of re-engagement within the program, we ran 2020, calendar year 2020 till about mid-December of 2024, and have about a 5% re-engagement rate over that period of time.
I appreciate that. It says in our amendment description that it's federal and general funds. Can you give me a idea what percentage of it's federal?
I do not know it off the top of my head. I will say the state general funds that are in the contract, we claim 50% of those to Family First. So it would be 50 state general funds, 50 reimbursed by Family First. We also have additional federal funds for B and TANF, and then these Family First Transition Act funds that are added are 100% federal. So if I had to make a guesstimate, and I'd be happy to send the exact amount, but I'd say it's 80 federal, 30 state general funds.
80-20.
Or 80-20, yes.
Under what particular program are we receiving this funding? Is it the Family First Preservation and Reunification? Is that a program in itself?
Yes, so Family First, Family Preservation and Reunification Services. So we have 5 to 6 Family First Prevention Services in Kentucky, and Family Preservation and Reunification Services is our largest and one that is available statewide.
What happens when that federal funding goes away?
For the Family First Transition Act, what we're adding for
Well,
this.
you mentioned we've increased salaries for staff for retention. I get that. Everybody's struggling for staff right now. But if that federal funding goes away, then I would assume that will come to the general fund.
The Transition Act funding is one time that we are adding for these 2 contracts. It is our hope that if we can justify that the use of these funds are happening and that we are getting the outcomes that we want in terms of sustaining staff, we're able to reduce our wait list, we're able to engage families, and ultimately reduce those wait lists, serve more families, that we would like to prioritize continuing those funds on into state fiscal year 26, and that would be through state general funds, but those would be claimable, so at the rate of 50% from the federal claim for Family First.
Well, again, that's my concern every time we receive federal funding. It's great, and it does some good things for our state, but if it commits us to future expenditures that we don't anticipate, then that creates a problem. We're now just 11 months away from the next budget cycle, and we'll be hearing from people during this summer, but it's just something I always caution our committee members about is federal fund is not necessarily means it's free fund, and if it commits us to future expenditures, then that's kind of problematic for us since we don't have enough funding to address all our needs to begin with. But
if I may.
Yes.
So we, of course, in continuation, we have that at the rate of 50%. And then we also have the benefits of these services in terms of reduction of entries into out-of-home care. So from the time of Family First implementation until the end of state fiscal year 24, we more than doubled funding prevention services, but out-of-home care costs were reduced by $40 million. And then if you think about the cost for program, the cost for a family to engage in family preservation services is $10,000 or under $10,000. The average cost for the average length of care for a child in out-of-home care is between $55,000 and $60,000. So those amounts are saved in terms of implementing these programs.
And I appreciate you thinking those terms, because it's always been my position that every dollar we spend should have a measurable return on investment for us. If not, then we shouldn't pursue it. But the concern I have, particularly with government, whether it's federal or state, is we had testimony 3 or 4 years ago from the cabinet that they needed 200 additional social workers, and the price tag was $20 million, but they were going to save us 10 times that amount if we did that. And I said, great, I'm all about that. But where do the savings come from? And no one could answer that. And then I asked it again, and no one could answer that. And third time, it was, well, we kind of absorb that within the system, and that's the problem we have with government. It just kind of soaks up these resources, and they're there forever, and we never see anything. But I understand the program that you have. I fully support it, but just a word of caution, everyone here. It's going to be difficult budget next cycle if what happens to the federal level we anticipate is going to happen. But thank you for the explanation, and appreciate the work you do.
Absolutely.
Co-Chair Douglas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 2 quick questions. Number one, and I'll let you think about this one for just a minute. We don't have any Kentucky contracts. They're from Kansas.
I can speak to that. So KBC initially started as Crony and Clark in Kentucky. They have a long history in Kentucky as being a community-based agency that we work with and that provide prevention and behavioral health services. So 20 plus years, and they have Kentucky leadership. They have a home office here. They have an office in each of the regions and multiple counties that they serve. They serve 6 regions, and they did merge with a corporation out of Kansas, but maintain that Kentucky leadership and have a long history of providing those services here in Kentucky.
Question number 2, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Go right ahead.
Real quick. When I look at keeping children from being separated from their families and entering foster care, are there any is there any data that would correlate families and or participants in this particular program or people who are being served by this program and incarceration rates?
Not that I'm aware, but that is certainly something that we could dig into.
I would just like to have some data in that space, if you could. I would appreciate that.
Okay, I can.
Thank you very
we can
much. Thank you,
certainly
Mr.
dig
Chair.
into it.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve both contracts as reviewed?
So moved.
Motion by Senator Meredith. To have a second by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bowman. Representative McCool.
Yes.
Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The next items on the pull list are with the facilities and support services and are numbers 69 and 72 on the PSC Amendment Ivory list. If the representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. Barbara Dickens, General Counsel of the Finance and Administration Cabinet.
Good morning. Scott Baker, Executive Director, Office of Facility Development and Efficiency.
Could you please raise your right hands? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you all so much, and I believe Co-Chair Douglas has some questions.
I do, and thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you both for being here today. Again, we'll try not to take a long time. Are we going to consider both contracts at the same time?
Yes,
maybe.
unless
Thank
you want to do them separate.
No, sir. I want
Okay,
to do
go
them
ahead.
both together. When I look at contract number 24, we have a $4 million increase. Which one? 69 facilities. Which one? 69.
Got the wrong number.
So where are we at? 69. I missed that then. My apologies there. I guess my question is 50% increase. In what's being asked.
Oh, which contract are you referring to, Senator?
69.
Okay, so 69 is for the EKCC prison in Eastern Kentucky, and that renovation, the original contract was for the study, and then now we've received in the last legislative funding, Department of Corrections received an $84 million appropriation for the HVAC, or an $80 million, excuse me, an $80 million for the HVAC expansion, renovation, or not expansion, improvement of the HVAC system there, or replacement actually, and then an $85 million for the facade and exterior repairs. Those two projects are being done under one design contract, and that's what this design contract is to design those two, what basically is $165 million worth of work. So that work happens simultaneously to create savings, obviously, by doing one project with one set of general conditions, one set of contractors, and it also greatly diminishes the disruption to the prison operation, because again, this is an active operating prison that we're going to go do this very invasive work in. So That extension of that contract is for the full design of both the HVAC and the facade replacement. The original contract was for the initial study for the facade replacement only.
Okay. So it's because we're combining projects.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion to consider the contracts review without objection?
Motion.
A motion by Senator Meredith. Do I have a second? Second by Senator Richardson. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rorks,
Aye.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Now, contract number 72, Senator Douglas, do you still have questions?
I do just have one, Mr. Chair.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. On contract number 72, I'm sure that you can make this clear as well. Our 1.4 million increase.
Yes, sir.
Would you explain that?
So again, the original contract was for the marina study, to study of all the marinas within the park system. And then this increase is to move to full design for a certain selection of those parks for their, so in last year's budget, or in the last budget, legislature appropriated money for the Yatesville Marina and for the Jenny Wiley Marina. So this is for the design for those two from this original study, as well as the Buckhorn and Yatesville.
So again, it's a combining.
Well, again, the original project was for a study for all of the marinas.
Mhm.
And as we roll out those construction projects, as again, legislature was able to fund those two,
Mhm.
and we have funding for the others. So as we roll those out through their construction phase now, through the design, that's what this is for, is
Okay.
to do the rest of the design work based on this study. But when we did the original selection for these engineering services, that contract was written to expand to full design, so that you're going to do the study, and then we're going to expand you to full design on a marina by marina basis as we move through, and that's what we're doing here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do I have a motion for approval of contract number 72? Motion by Senator Richardson. Do I have a second? Second by Senator Thomas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rorks,
Aye.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to be here.
Next items on the pool list are with the Office of the Controller and are numbers 92 through 95 on the PSC Amendment Ivory list, and numbers 1 and number 2 on the additions list. Representatives are here. Please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Lee. I'm the Commissioner for the Department for Medicaid Services, and I'm also the current president of the National Association of Medicaid Directors.
Carrie Banahan, Deputy Secretary, Cabinet for Health and Family Services.
Thank you all for so much for being here. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you all so much, and I have a couple questions. These 6 contracts we're asking for, or you're asking for an additional $35 billion for the next over the next 2 years. How much of that represents state dollars as compared to federal dollars? And then my next follow-up question would be, how are we paying for it?
Approximately 75% comes from the federal government. The remainder would be state dollars. The funding is within our current budget appropriations, and it will be paid for with general fund dollars.
Okay. And you just answered my third question. Was this in the current budget? Since the spike in Medicaid numbers during COVID, the numbers of participants have actually declined. Why do we continue to see spikes in costs while it seems like participation is declining?
So the individuals who remain in the Department for Medicaid Services, who remain in our program, are a little bit sicker. They have higher acuity levels, so their cost of care is more than the individuals who have transitioned out of the program. In addition, costs also include this. The additional increase includes $4.5 to $5 billion in directed payments, such as the Hospital Reimbursement Improvement Program.
Okay. Do you anticipate costs like this continuing to go up in the future? Or?
We continue to monitor the trends in the Medicaid program to make sure that we have adequate funding and can serve our members.
Okay, and I'm asking kind of for your opinion on this. Do you think this is sustainable as we go forward?
I think that the healthcare delivery system is unpredictable at best, and so I think as we move forward, we just continue to watch trends. As we know, there are always new technologies, new medications, new services that come into the Medicaid program, and right now we do believe that this budget is adequate until our next budget request.
Okay. With the new administration taking office next Monday, there's a very good chance that some of the federal dollars could be cut to this program. If that would happen, do y'all have a plan or something in place or how would you react to that?
We have heard several possibilities, and we will react when the federal government, if and when the federal government does decide to make any changes to the program, we will adjust as accordingly based on whatever those changes may be.
All right, thank you. Just two quick questions. Why did Anthem get a $500 million contract for the next 2 years when they don't have any members for 2025 or 26?
As of January 1st, 2025, Anthem is no longer a Medicaid managed care organization. However, they did have members enrolled, for example, in December, and that $500 million is for run-out activities such as paying claims. Providers do have up to 12 months to file a claim. There may be some claims and appeal processes. Plus, the agency is still responsible for some of those HRIP dollars. So the funding is for those run-out activities.
Okay. Last question. Of the $35 billion over the next 2 years, approximately how much will go to the MCOs?
The $35 billion that are in the contracts, that $35 billion goes to the MCOs to provide services to members enrolled in their managed care organization.
So the majority of it would
Yeah, and then they have to spend, the MCOs, based on their contractual obligations, have to spend 90% of those funds on direct services for members. In other words, they have a medical loss ratio of 90%, so 90% of those funds have to be spent on direct medical services for our members. If they do not spend that 90%, then that money comes back to the department and is again sent back to the federal government. The portions are divided.
All right, thank you so much. Is there any, Senator Meredith?
Just a couple quick questions, and the first one for United. Why does that contract just run through 24 and everybody else run through 26?
That's a typo. It should be 26.
Okay,
They do
I
run through 26.
assumed as much. And why are these contracts on a calendar year rather than a fiscal year?
That's just the way that they have been set up. I don't know why fiscal versus calendar was chosen, but we have to get these approved through CMS too, so that could have some bearing on the actual calendar year versus fiscal year.
Okay, well, when's the next bid cycle for contract?
These contracts run through 26. So we do have, I think, three additional two-year contract renewal periods that we could renew rather than bid.
So it could go through 2032.
Yes.
My math is right. I'm just.
Yes.
What's the medical loss ratio running right now? Do you have any idea?
It's right at the 90%.
Is it? Okay.
In aggregate.
Any complaints from the MCOs?
Not a one.
Didn't think so. Well, you know me. That's a rhetorical question. I appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Senator Douglas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Lee, I just have one simple question. Most of my questions, as you know, are generally very, very simple. What what things are the department doing to improve the expectations of the department? That is, we know that one of the largest variables that we have in healthcare space in terms of treating our patients is patient noncompliance. What is the department doing to tighten up the expectations of those people who are receiving the benefits? That is, the compliance that people are bringing to the table. Because we talk about, quote, certain people are sicker. And in the healthcare space, there are only certain reasons why people are sicker. Some of it is genetics. I mean, we certainly have some genetic mutations. But often that is not the case. So I guess my question is, what is the department doing in the area of improving patient compliance or expectations?
Well, our MCOs, for example, have to do a health risk assessment. They have to perform a health risk assessment on all of their members. So as part of that health risk assessment, they will ask them certain questions about their behaviors. And they do have case managers that will work with individuals to make sure that they adhere to their physician's orders, take their medications, that sort of thing. So the case management process within the MCOs is designed to ensure that those members understand their benefits and how to use those benefits and adhere to, again, to their physician's orders.
I'd love to have some of those case managers at times. Possibly your department could arrange this. I would love to have some of those case managers come to my office and have a conversation with me.
Okay. Well,
maybe 5.
Okay, thank you. We'll see if we can make that happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions?
One final one, Mr. Chair. Just
Go right ahead.
We approved the contract, I think 2 months ago, for the study to look at network adequacy. When's that report due?
I'll have to go back and look at that. I believe that there are a series of reports. There are interim reports. And so I will go back and take a look at that and see when that report is due and make sure that you get a copy of that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
If there's no further questions, the first motion I would like would be for the approval of contracts numbers 93 through 95 on the PSC Amendment Ivory list.
So moved.
Motion made by Senator Meredith.
Second.
Second by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
I vote yes, but I want to explain my vote.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, I vote yes because I actually know how competent Commissioner Lee is, and I have confidence in you. And so, otherwise, I might have a lot of other things. Otherwise, I might have a lot of other things to say.
Thank
But
you,
Thank you very
Senator.
much for the time that you put in. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke,
Aye.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. And now I would like, or is there a motion to approve items numbers 1 and 2 on the additions list?
So moved.
Motion made by Co-Chair Douglas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Senator Meredith. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bauman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke,
Aye.
Senator Meredith,
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all so much for being here. Next item on the pool list is with the Department for Local Government and is number 18 on the routine MOA pink list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Matt Sawyers, Commissioner, Department for Local Government.
Trey Greenwell, Economic Development Branch, Department for Local Government.
Thank you, gentlemen, so much. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you so much. I just have one. I'm going to use Co-Chair Douglas's phrase. Simple question. My interest is kind of piqued on this one. What equipment are you purchasing, and what company are you purchasing it from? Our description that we seen was very, very vague, and I just was curious.
Sure. We'll let Craig answer that.
Not sure of where the equipment is being purchased. That's done by Appalachian Tank and through their suppliers there. But the piece of equipment that we are buying is a CNC router table, which allows for the shell layout process for the aluminum tanks to be built. It makes that process a little bit easier and allows welders to be able to stand instead of crawling around and moving around the tank in different positions. They're able to stay still and weld there, and the tank rotates towards them.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
Second by Senator Meredith. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bauman. Representative McCool. Representative Rorks.
Aye.
Senator Meredith.
Aye.
Chairman Hart.
Yes. Thank you, Jennifer, so much. I'm sorry to bring you up here, but I was just curious on what was going on. So thank you so much. Next items on the pull list are with the Department for Medicaid Services, and our numbers 35 and 36 on the routine MOA pink list. Representatives are here. Please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Hello, I am Lisa Lee. I am the Commissioner for the Department for Medicaid Services.
And you're back.
I'm back.
Senator Meredith, I think, has some questions.
It's just like Groundhog Day, isn't it?
It
Just
is.
all over again. Yeah. Good to have you back. We're looking at 35 and 36, and both deal with the effectiveness, the efficacy of telehealth. Why can't this be one study? Why is it require two?
These are two separate studies. One is with the University of Kentucky, one is with the University of Louisville. The University of, and these are university partnerships, by the way, which means that the universities themselves pay the state match for this. There are no general fund dollars related to these projects. But the contract with the University of Louisville is specifically looking at HEDIS measures, that's healthcare effectiveness data and information set, and they are looking to see a variety. They're doing several things within their study. They are looking at quality of services, examining trends and disparities. The University of Kentucky contract is solely focused on telehealth as it relates to psychiatric hospital admissions. Does the use of telehealth, for example, reduce psychiatric admissions, specifically as it relates to Eastern State Hospital? So the University of Kentucky telehealth study is very narrowly tailored to specifically psychiatric hospital admits.
But it's twice the cost of the University of Louisville study. I would think that the University of Louisville study would have cost more because it's kind of broader in scope. But
it could be related to the type of services they have to look at. Sometimes they don't. The studies look at Medicaid claims data, and sometimes they get more involved. For example, they could do surveys. They could reach out to a variety of different data sources just besides the Medicaid claims data.
if you say so, okay. The contract with the University of Louisville. Once you get the information, what are you going to do with it?
Sometimes what the department partners, when we partner with the universities, what we hope to get is an insight into how, if there are gaps in care, for example, or if there could be some recommendations for us to improve the delivery of services. And in this case, it would be, is telehealth effective? Is there anything that we could do to improve? Are there gaps in care? Could we use it in another area, for example? So we hope to use any recommendations that come out of this to improve our policies related to the delivery of Medicaid services to individuals who are enrolled in the program.
Is intention to report this out to the Interim Committee on Health Services?
All of these, we have each 2 years, we have around 12 university partnership contracts, and each of those are posted on our website, and we'd be happy to report out on any of these to any committee that is interested.
Well, we already know that there's tremendous gaps in coverage throughout the Commonwealth in almost every healthcare service that we have. How do we prioritize how we should address those gaps?
Well, I think that is a partnership with several entities, for example. I mean, we deliver information to this committee, happy to work with this committee on any sort of priorities that we see in the Medicaid program where there are gaps in care. And it is trying to, once you identify a gap in care, it is very complex to try to address those. For example, is if we have a shortage of providers, how do we get those providers into the state? It's a bigger project, bigger issue than just Medicaid can solve. So we have to do that in partnership.
I'd agree, but my qualms with collecting all this data is we know what some of the issues are, but we don't take a proactive approach in addressing those issues. And I've said 1,000 times, you've heard me say it, that my concern is our primary care base is so thin. 40% of our population lives in rural Kentucky, but only 17% of our primary care physicians there, and that reverberates throughout the system. I think it's costing our Medicaid program and just employers billions of dollars because we're not addressing that deficiency. But I've never seen a recommendation from anyone saying, here's what we need to do to address the primary care shortage in rural Kentucky. And that's also to economically deprived urban centers as well. I'm very pleased to see that West End of Louisville finally got a hospital, but it took them almost 100 years to get that. And just I don't see we're using our data effectively in developing a comprehensive plan to address all these issues that we know already exist. So we study more and more and more, but it just seems to kind of sit there and collect dust. So not a criticism of you. You do a great job. I concur with Senator Douglas, and we appreciate our relationship with you, but I wish we could be more proactive in how we address these issues. And I think it was 2 sessions ago, we had the MCOs report to what was in the Medicaid Oversight Committee individually, and one of the things they prided themselves on was our coverage, provider coverage, and all of them said, we're like 98%. But in a different meeting, when we asked Commissioner Stack, our Director of Public Health, we asked him, do you believe that? He said, no, I don't. So, where's the accountability? Of course, you're doing a study now to look at this, but again, when we get it back, I hope we can do something with it, but it just gets frustrating.
It is a very complex issue, and would like to point out that over the past 10 years, based on America's Health Rankings, Kentucky has moved from 47th in the nation in health rankings to 41st. So slow strides, but we are making them, and we are still continuing to look at ways to improve the health status of all individuals within the Commonwealth.
I would agree, but I think if you really look at that data, you see a real disparity that kind of the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And I saw a recent article in Becker, which is kind of our Wall Street Journal for Healthcare, that 750 hospitals in the United States are on the verge of closing because of financial pressures. In Kentucky, we have about 70 rural hospitals, 60 are identified as being financially fragile, and I think 14 were identified with possibly closing within the next 2 years. And that just doesn't affect health, that affects the economics of those communities as well. And it just doesn't seem to be a sense of urgency with this. And I'm quite concerned with the new administration. They're focusing on Medicaid, and I'm looking for some reduction in expenses, and just curious how we're going to handle that in the future. It's going to be a real challenge for Kentucky. I know at our Senate Planning Retreat this year, we had some discussion on the growth of the Medicaid budget. And you well know, when I came in 2017, the budget was $10 billion. And this year we're hitting $20 billion. Of course, we've had a lot of new enrollees. We've also had those directed payments you made reference to, but still there's substantial growth there that we're going to have to address at some point in time. And I just want to make sure we're not reactionary in those adjustments, because really there's only 3 ways to reduce Medicaid expenditures, as you well know. One is removing people from the Medicaid road through gainful employment. I don't believe in kicking anybody off. But secondly is improving the health of the population. And how are we going to do that if we have a shortage of healthcare providers? And third is reducing the bureaucracy around the system. And I would just wish we could have a comprehensive trend to try to address all 3 of those things. But I guess we can study it more. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? If not, do I have a motion? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioner Lee, one of the things I talk about when the report that you cited. One of the things I want the public to know that when you look at the end of the report, it unfortunately says there were 9 states that either didn't report at all or inadequately reported their data. So some of the moving from 47 down to 41 is a little bit skewed in terms of the overall data. But I guess my question is this: the university is already collecting data because the telehealth has been around for a while now, and I agree with Senator Meredith. It seems like we go out and we collect a lot of data that we already have. We just don't evaluate the data that we have sometimes, and it's just a concern because it is an increased cost. But thank you for your testimony.
Do we have a motion to approve the contracts review without objection?
So moved.
A motion by Senator Meredith.
Second.
Second by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote nay. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Senator Meredith, Chairman Hart.
Motion carries. Thank you so much for being with us. The next item on the pool list are with the Department for Natural Resources and are numbers 37 through 43 on the routine MOA pink list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. I'm Steve Cole with Senior Environmental Scientist Consultant with the Division of Forestry.
Could you make sure your mic is turned on?
I'm sorry, how's that work?
That works a little bit better. Thank you.
Again, I'm Steve Cull. I'm Environmental Scientist Consultant with the Division of Forestry.
Okay.
Chris Swedeman, Urban and Community Forestry Program Coordinator with the Kentucky Division of Forestry.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Noble, General Counsel for the Energy and Environment Cabinet.
All right. Thank you so much. Would you all please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you so much. I have a couple questions. I'm aware of the Justice 40 program, and it's been around for a few years. But can you maybe give some explain the origin of the program and how long it's been in Kentucky and kind of how it works?
The Justice 40 program originates the federal government with the idea of ensuring service to economically and socially disadvantaged folks. We, in a Division of Forestry, follow the mandates with given grant programs, this one in particular, to evaluate those situations here in Kentucky to make folks that are in fact eligible for this urban forestry funding, which was for tree planting and related activities. So we were mandated basically, or we had to follow those guidelines by which to award these grantees to. So that's how we evaluate them amongst other criteria.
All right. Thank you. Most of the contracts go through 2027. Do you anticipate any possibility of losing funding with the new administration coming in? Or do you think it'll sustain?
We were informed basically when we were awarded this money that it was one-time money. Don't look for additional monies past this. So we approved these particular applications based on this is the funds you'll have.
All right. So good. If the funding holds out for the duration of the contract, will there be any positions left unfunded if the program isn't renewed? Or is it
no? There's no intention to do
no
that.
intention. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Oh, Representative Rourke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to take a moment to say I'm excited to get to join this committee and. In Louisville, in particular, with I believe it's Louisville Grows getting awarded some of the funds, the Justice 40 areas have really been transformative. I mean, even with our Green Heart study to prove that there are extensive health benefits to planting more trees and focusing on areas that are underserved, including districts like mine. Seeing everything from the benefits that it brings to drainage, cleaner air quality, and even being a better sound mitigating factor along our interstates, which obviously a lot of our Justice 40 areas are exposed to. So it's been very exciting to get to see this work. And also, I like to make the little comment that I'm the Rorax and I get to speak for the trees. So that's
Excellent.
Just wanted to say that I'm excited to see the federal money coming into the areas and also, being divided in such a thoughtful way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Chris is our program coordinator in forestry, works in Greenheart and all the other programs in Louisville and across the state to try and encourage that. We're a little biased. We feel that trees are pretty nice to have out there, and half the state being forested. Urban forestry is one of our many roles with there, besides working with landowners and putting out a few forest fires as we go.
All right, great. If there's no other questions, do I have a motion to consider the contracts review without objection?
So moved.
Motion made by Co-Chair Douglas, second by Senator Thomas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas.
Aye.
Senator Richardson. Senator Thomas. Representative Bowman. Representative McCool. Representative Rourke.
Aye.
Senator Meredith. Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you guys so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
The last item on the pool list is with behavioral health, development, and intellectual disabilities, and is number 17 on the MOA amendment yellow list. If representatives are here, please come forward and identify yourself for the record.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Johnson from the Department for Behavioral Health, Development, and Intellectual Disabilities. I serve as the Director for the Division of Substance Use Disorder.
Good morning. I am Caitlin Hood. Oh, thank you. Good morning. I'm Caitlin Hood. I'm the Assistant Director in the Division of Substance Use Disorder within the Department for Behavioral Health, Developmental, and Intellectual Disabilities.
Would you all please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you so much, and I believe Co-Chair Douglas has some questions.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, ladies, for coming to answer a question. We're looking at a contract increase of 1.8. Help me with that. When we look at the total contract being 2.6, why is this contract being increased so much?
Thank you, Senator Douglas. That's an excellent question. So the funds that are being allocated to New Vista are from SAMHSA. So it's a federal grant. It's from the State Opioid Response Grant, or SOR, the SOR grant. And this is to support equitable access to substance use related services across the Commonwealth. So New Vista is one of our many partners that is awarded funds through the SAMHSA State Opioid Response Grant. So we operate, or the funds operate, on a federal timeline. And so our federal fiscal year ends at the end of September and starts at the beginning of October. And so in order to carry our contracts through the end of the federal fiscal year, we awarded them 4 months initially in FY24. So that took them from July to the end of September. And then we allotted them an additional 8 months to carry them through the rest of FY25.
May I ask just?
Yes, you may.
Okay. You mentioned for equitable access, and we use a lot of terms that perhaps need a little bit more explanation because many people assume they know what that means. Could you just go just a little bit into equitable access?
Absolutely. Yes, when we say equitable, ultimately what we mean is that we want every Kentuckian to have the same access to evidence-based services across the board. And so that's what we mean by equitable, is that everybody has the same availability of services across the state.
We mean geographically.
That's in part.
Including our healthcare deserts.
That ultimately what we aim to do with the federal funds is to expand access to these services. So although right now there are healthcare deserts, particularly for substance use services across the state, what we hope to do with the funds is to mitigate these deserts and to provide services in areas where services might otherwise not be available.
Thank you very much, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion for approval? Motion by Senator Richardson. Do I have a second? Second by Representative Rourks. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourks,
Aye.
Senator Meredith, Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you all so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
If you all would, please take a moment and review items number 13 through 16 on your agenda. They're all four of them are for exemption request. And if there's no comments or questions, do I have a motion to approve the exemption request? So moved. A motion by
Second.
Senator Meredith, seconded by Co-Chair Douglas. All those in favor vote aye. All those opposed vote no. Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Douglas,
Aye.
Senator Richardson, Senator Thomas, Representative Bowman, Representative McCool, Representative Rourks,
Aye.
Senator Meredith, Chairman Hart.
Yes, motion passes. And before we get out here, I wanted to welcome our new members. We have 3 new members on the committee. Unfortunately, Representative Bowman is away on a out of town on a business trip, but I would like to welcome Senator Richardson and Representative Rourke. Welcome to Government Contract Review, guys. So, with that being said, our February meeting will be on Tuesday, February the 11th, 2012. It'll be upon adjournment of both chambers. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by co-mining chair. Second by Representative Rourke. All those in favor vote aye. Opposed? Clerk, please call the roll. I'm in such a habit here. Thank you, guys.